Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of our witnesses for appearing before the committee today. Going into Farm Bill season, this is extraordinarily exciting, even though I know it doesn't seem like that after 3 hours, but very important nonetheless. So I'll jump right in. Dr. Johansson, I know that Florida farmers, including our sugarcane farmers, are assessing the damage from the January freeze, and they will share details of the damage as the harvest continues for the next few months. Please let us know, when possible, what disaster aid language might be necessary for Florida farmers to recover from the unexpected losses. Now, today I want to focus on a bill that I sponsored that pledges to end our sugar policy only when other countries end their sugar policies. You all may know it as 0 for 0. The sugar industry supports this 0 for 0 legislation, and I would like you to briefly explain to my colleagues why, as an industry expert.
Well, thank you for that question, Congresswoman Cammack. As you point out, over 100 countries produce sugar, and their governments are deeply involved in these industries, providing either high subsidies, tariffs, or non-tariff trade barriers to protect them. Billions of dollars go into their industries each year, which allows them to dump their surpluses below their own cost of production on the world market, which directly threatens U.S. farm families. There's nothing fair about global sugar markets. I'll just point out as an example, the WTO recently found India guilty for subsidizing sugar production by more than $14 billion a year, paying export subsidies to dump their surpluses on the world market. The U.S. sugar policy is a response to that high and rising foreign subsidies, which are a core cause of predatory trade practices in the global market. The vast majority of these producers are higher cost and less sustainable than U.S. producers. Our sugar policy is a comprehensive response to these unfair trade practices. And if they stop these practices, as you point out, and let our farmers compete in a fair, competitive marketplace, we would not need a program. We applaud you, Congresswoman, for leading the charge through your 0 for 0 legislation to expose those subsidies and trade practices that threaten our sugar industry, and actually press to have those problems addressed on a multilateral basis in the appropriate venue. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Well, and thank you. And when you put it like that, I just don't know how any of my colleagues would argue against the 0 for 0 legislation. So thank you for that. And just so we're very clear, have you seen any evidence of foreign nations cutting back on their sugar subsidy programs? Yes or no?
That would be no, and in fact, the other direction.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to now move to another issue that is near and dear to some of my producers' hearts, and that is the issue of peanuts and base acreage. So, Ms. Rogers, I appreciate your testimony, particularly your highlighting of the fact that not all producers of peanuts have access to the PLC program due to lack of base acres. My district, my state, has a particularly unique situation in this regard. So as you know, many peanut producers in Florida have faced challenges with the current base acreage arrangements. Given the changing economics growers are experiencing, particularly the rising costs of inputs, do you think that taking a look at a potentially voluntary update to base acres across commodities could have a positive impact on the bottom line for producers, including those peanut producers currently without access to the PLC?
Thank you, Congresswoman. We are definitely looking at that. Our peanut leaders, they've been meeting with many growers in Florida to talk with them about the issues and how it could be addressed. And definitely updating base is an option. We're looking at that, plus many other options as well. We've got our economists looking at it and coming up with the cost of that would be to update the base and the cost of other options as well. And we sure hope that we can work with your team and this committee to come up with an option that would work for those growers as well as the rest of the growers.
Thank you. And do you believe that if we were to move forward with a base update, that would incentivize and encourage young farmers to enter the industry?
I think that's possible. We definitely need to do what we can to help farmers, and whatever we come up with, whatever option we come up with to be able to help the ones without base will definitely help the young farmers.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate your commentary, and thank you again to all our witnesses for before the committee today. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back the remainder of my time.